Can you believe what is going on right now today in the precious metals market? Silver and gold are flying again. We're going to look at all the reasons why in this video. We're also going to talk about Robert Kiyosaki. He's speaking about silver and gold again. And let's not forget, he recently told us that we could see $70 silver very soon. But first, the most important thing, and that's you. Thank you for being here. This is a piece of silver and gold focused content for the basement dweller community. Also for those in the crypto community who've been begging me with a real interest in learning about silver and gold. It's a big deal when you're here. You're always welcome in Ron's Basement. You are the most important part. Don't forget, please like this video, share and subscribe. It helps Susie and I support the channel, support the family. Let's go take a look at what's going on right now, guys, in the silver and gold market, because it is getting absolutely crazy out there. Let's go first and take a look at the silver market, where we see this. Well, that's gold. Here we go. Here's silver. Okay, we're up 65 cents per ounce in the futures market, up almost 2%. What we're looking at right here is a one-year chart of silver. I want to draw a few things on here and draw your attention to a few things that I think are very interesting. Let's get this pulled up. Here we go. And look, when we look back over a year, you can see that we're in a range between what, high 20s and 35, but basically we've been sticking right around this area, right around $31 per ounce. Now, that's not what's most interesting to me. When I look at this, what I see is an upward channel in the silver price that I think, I don't know, do you see that? I see that, and to me that means two things. Number one, that's an upward channel in the silver price, but it also is within a compressed area. There's consolidation going on within a $3 to $4 range in the silver price, somewhere between, let's say, $31, $33, $31, and $34 per ounce. What's important to recognize there is that what that means is we're working through the people who want to get out of silver, the people who are the short timers, the wimps who are like, oh, I'm scared silver's going to drop down to $24 an ounce again. I absolutely do not believe it. I don't think that we're going to see a silver price that starts with the number 2 until we get into the $200 per ounce range. I could be wrong. Remember, right? My disclaimer, I'm not a financial planner. I'm not a financial advisor. Don't make any decisions based on anything that I'm saying here, but I've followed the silver market for decades. I think the odds of us getting a silver price below $30 are very, very slim. As a matter of fact, I've predicted that by April Fool's Day 2026, we will have $60 per ounce silver, and that's no April Fool's joke. If I'm wrong, I'll come on here and fully admit it, right? I'm not always right, but I am usually right about 63.4% of the time. Let's go take a look at the gold market, because we've got a big, big day in gold as well. Wow, look at this. Gold up $50 per ounce. Now we're looking at a 6-month chart. Let's zoom out a little bit here and look at a 1-year chart of gold. Is that unbelievable or what? I don't even need to draw any lines on there for you. All the top analysts are saying the same thing. Every single time that the gold price gets sold down, it seems to be like it pops right back up. Now, many of you are, I'm 55 years old. How old are you? I don't know. Most of us are around my age that are into the silver and gold market. You probably remember these things, right? One of our basement dweller viewers sent me this guy. This is a Weeble. And as you remember from your childhood, it was Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. And we can definitely say that about the gold price, because it just continues to march forward. Now, we're going to talk about all the reasons why a little bit later during this live stream, right? The fact that the dollar, that's if we use the US dollar as the unit of measure for gold. It weebles and wobbles, but it keeps going up, right? Because of the consistent devaluation, the consistent pushing down of the real value in the dollar. And again, we've got a lot more to talk about later in this video that's going to explain to us why that's the case, and why when we use the dollar as the unit of measure for gold, we could see prices. Some top analysts are now talking about $5,000 per ounce gold as soon as next year. But let's go take a look at the other big key component, what we need to follow. And then we got to talk about Japan, which is a big part of the reason why we are seeing what we are seeing today in the gold market. But here's the dollar index, our old favorite, guys, huh? The DXY index, the prettiest, the best horse in the glue factory. The dollar index, is getting precariously low to dropping below 100 again. Why is that so important? Because a lot of the big people are saying that once we get below 100 and stay below 100, we could drop down into the 75 range here. Oh man, this is just unbelievable what is going on right now. Here's 100. Let me draw a line. Again, DXY index, basically comparing the dollar to the euro, the yen, I think the Swiss franc. We're right at 100. If we go all the way back to the mid-1980s, you can see that we're actually, from a long-term perspective, the dollar's actually high. Now, what's really interesting to look at on this chart is this right here, right? If we start around 2001 and go down to 2011, you can see that the DXY index went from about 115 all the way down to 75 during that period. During that period of time, that's when we saw silver go from around $5 per ounce all the way to $50 per ounce in 2011. Will that happen again? Can that happen again? Absolutely, right? We're in a stagflationary environment right now. I know you may not agree with me, and that's okay. When I talk about $60 silver by April Fool's Day 2026, maybe I'll be the fool on April Fool's Day. Hey, I don't care. But I think we could see, like Robert Kiyosaki talks about, $70 silver by that point, because we are in a stagflationary environment. We have a stagnant economy. Wait till you hear about the latest news from the airports we're going to talk about later. And we do have inflation. Guys, they are up a creek without a paddle. Our old friend here, Jerome Powell, let's all say hi to Jerome, right? Right? Because of this, I'm going to show you right now, because of the bond yields, we're going to talk about bond yields and then Japan. Then we're going to move on, I promise. But because of the 10-year bond yield, which is getting precariously high, let's see if I got this right. Here we go. 10-year bond yield at 4.5%. Yes, you heard that right. All right, let's look at that. Let's look at, this is crazy to think about. That just 5 years ago, I got that screen screwed up. There we go. 5 years ago, guys, over here, as you can see, right, we had a 10-year bond yield of see if I can draw this, 5. I need some better crayons. 0.5%, right? What's happening and what's going to happen, and which will lead the dollar down a path of doom, basically, right? The U.S. government, because of the fact that we have $37 trillion in debt, can't afford for interest rates to go much higher. Here's a little secret. Bank of America, all the other big banks can't afford for interest rates to go much higher, because Bank of America in the U.S. government, they borrowed a bunch of money 5 years ago when interest rates were nine times less, right? We went from 0.5% to 4.5%. And now when they have to refinance, even at these current rates, right, it's inhibitively expensive for them. Now, the big banks are in big trouble because they bought a bunch of treasuries back 5 years ago at 0.5%, 1% interest rates. and they're carrying them on their books right now at full value. But the reality is they've already lost 30 and in some cases 40% of the value. So let me pull this all together for you. This guy, and including Donald Trump and Scott Bessent, right? The U.S. economy can't take interest rates much higher than they are right now. Nobody has the money to buy the bond. So rates will go up and up and up naturally. Okay. However, sorry, my daughter's calling me. At the same time, the only thing that they're going to be able to do to control those interest rates is this. Sorry, I have to pull it out, right? Print money. They're going to monetize the debt. And when they monetize the debt, when they print money, that'll make the value of the dollar go down. And if you use the US dollar as the unit of measure to measure the value of silver and gold, which a lot of you do, that will mean in dollar terms, the value of silver and gold will go much, much, much higher. The other big story going on right now is that the Japanese bond market is basically crashing. And here we go. All right. This came from Yahoo Finance and Reuters. Japan's super long bond yields soar to records as the market frets about demand. Guys, it's getting ugly out there. When you have an economy that's held together, right, or a monetary system and a fiscal system that's held together with bubble gum and duct tape, when you kick the can down the road, right, starting back in the late 1990s when the tech bubble burst, the great financial crisis, the C-19 crisis, when you just print money, when you abuse the privilege of being the world's reserve currency, eventually the hens come home to roost. Doesn't that make sense? And that's exactly what's going on right now. Hey, next we're going to talk about Robert Kiyosaki, but I want to say thank you to First Mint. Okay, they are sponsoring the gold and silver Ron's Basement YouTube content. First Mint is owned by First Majestic Silver. You've likely heard of them. That's Keith Neumeyer's silver mining juggernaut. Now, what's unique about First Mint is, besides the fact that they're owned by a mining company, is that they actually mine the silver in Mexico, send it to First Mint, which is in Las Vegas, Nevada, where they create these world-class silver bullion products. Silver bars, silver rounds. As a matter of fact, here's a silver round that I have from First Mint. Absolutely stunning pieces of bullion that they're creating. That's not the best part. This is one of my favorites, because on the back of this buffalo round is this Indian that I just think is so absolute. I love that thing. That is probably one of my favorite pieces of silver. Again, that's from First Mint. Let me show you their website where you can check it out for yourself. And here we go. Oh, there it is. Oh, here's the Year of the Snake. It's another one of the rounds that they produce. Here is the Year of the Dragon, another beautiful one. I have these. I'll be showing them to you in subsequent. There's the bars. Susie, my wife upstairs, Susie, she loves the 5-ounce bar. And there, let's go back. That's what I just showed you, the buffalo round. So you can check it out there. Look, they're a company you can trust, owned by First Majestic Silver. They have competitive prices, great service, and free shipping on orders over $199. And it's a big honor for me to have them sponsoring Ron's Basement, our gold and silver content. Thank you, First Mint. Oh, and by the way, I almost forgot, there's a discount code, VIPRB. VIPRB for Ron's Basement. Check them out. You'll be happy that you did. Let's talk about Robert Kiyosaki. He's speaking again about gold and silver. And remember, he's the guy that told us $70 silver could be on the way. Let's go out here. He says, question, why will gold, silver, and Bitcoin continue to grow in value? Answer, the Marxist central bank, hold on here. Marxist central bank system is crashing, many going bankrupt, keep hodling. And we see that with what's going on in Japan. We know what's going on in the United States. I'm buying more Bitcoin. Now he's making a Bitcoin prediction of $250,000, but he's also a big fan of silver, because don't forget, recently, Mr. Kiyosaki, there he is up there, had this: is silver more valuable than gold or Bitcoin? He says yes, because demand for solar panels, EVs, computers, electronic products, weapon systems, medicine, water purification, and there's a lot more as well. Supplies of gold and Bitcoin do not decrease. He brings up this critical point about silver, right? And that's true. Supplies of gold and Bitcoin really don't decrease, but silver as a store of value actually is unique in that the stores and the supplies of silver actually decrease. Best of all, silver's also the least expensive. As the price of gold breaks all-time highs, silver price remains at 60% of its all-time high. Man, I feel like buying some silver, because silver is useful and its price has been suppressed for decades to keep silver affordable by industry. Here's the kicker. I believe silver's price manipulation is over. I strongly believe the price of silver will, quote unquote, slingshot to new all-time highs, possibly 2x to $70 an ounce in 2025. Wow. So he's saying $70 per ounce in 2025. Because we know, like he said, the price of silver, I'm just saying, speculation that it's been manipulated. I don't know. Do you think the price of silver has been manipulated? A lot of people do. Okay, a lot of people do. And when we look at days last week, right, when in like 1 hour, the equivalent of 60 million ounces of silver in 1 hour are traded on the electronic exchanges. When we look at the fact that if we look at the Shanghai Gold Exchange, the Chinese gold and silver market, and we look at the silver price in China, where it's traded physically, not electronically, not just pure physical traded, is often 10 to 14% higher than what we have in the United States. People do believe, and that's why China and India are buying all the silver, buying all the gold. They know the value. And Americans, unfortunately, aren't buying a lot of silver. They're missing the boat. And Americans, a lot of them, the retail investors, not you, right? You got a good head on your shoulders, not me, are selling their gold. I've got an article. Where is it? Here it is. I'll pull it up for you next. This is what our fellow Americans are up to. This comes from Fox Business. Hold on. There it is. Gold Rush 2.0. I want to bring it out. Americans, and I hold on a second. All right, Judy. There's Judy Shelton talking about the British going off the gold standard. But here we go. Gold Rush 2.0. Americans cash in as precious metals hover near all-time highs. Think about this, guys. What's going on in the gold market and silver market is really happening without the participation of the Western investor. They will wake up, right? We know what's going on with Costco, with gold, right? They will wake up. There will be a rush for silver and gold. But in this article, they interview a guy. He said, every day we have more customers coming in, selling their gold, raiding their cabinets and stuff like that, looking for jewelry. That's Sebastian Hernandez, who works at family-owned A&M Precious Metals in Los Angeles. I've not seen anything like this. I've been in this business for about 8 years, and this is pretty crazy. There's something astonishing for us, right? Those of us who are awake, who don't keep our head in the sand, those of us who aren't raiding our jewelry cabinets to sell precious metals. Something very, very astonishing. What is happening? Think about this, right? Take a step back and look at this from 1,000 feet. What is happening right now in the precious metals markets? Silver building this incredible solid base around $32, $33 per ounce. Gold, right, at $3,200 per ounce. It's incredible. But all of this is happening without big participation from the Western investors, right? From a silver investing perspective in the West, the numbers are actually down. So take a step back and think, if we just go back up, let's just look at silver to where the average levels were over the last 3-4 years, that would create a big wave of demand. But let's just speculate. What do you think would happen if there was actually a silver rush, a silver squeeze, right? What if everybody woke up, right? What if I'm at the neighborhood swimming pool and instead of my neighbors wanting to talk about who knows, they're coming to me wanting to ask about silver because everybody's talking about it. What do you think's going to happen? Again, take a step back and realize what we have seen in the precious metals markets to date. It's been astonishing, but that has occurred without the Western retail investors really taking part. And like we just read, a lot of our the sheeple, I know you love it, right? Your neighbors, my neighbors, they're sheeple, right? They want whatever. I'm not going to go off, but they are selling gold. Some of them are selling silver. But what's interesting is you read, did you hear this? A lot of these silver refiners are really busy, right? Because they're buying a lot of silver. And from what the speculation, just speculation, is that they are then shipping it over to China. Now, let's talk about the rich guy, billionaire. Make sure I got the right one. Here we go. What are the billionaires? Does it seem like to you that every day we're getting headlines like this? You know, Ray Dalio, the founder of Bridgewater Capital, one of the richest guys around, one of the biggest hedge funds of all time. He's buying gold. Okay. And then we get this, David Einhorn, okay, billionaire hedge fund founder, is long gold and said he thinks it could reach $5,000 in 2026. Again, okay, this came from a CNBC interview. Hedge fund icon David Einhorn of Greenlight Capital echoed that sentiment because there was another guy talking about it on CNBC's Closing Bell. In an appearance on Wednesday from the Sohn Investment Conference, there's a bipartisan agreement to do nothing about the deficit until we get to the next crisis. Einhorn is long gold and said he thinks it could reach $5,000 per ounce in 2026. Schlossler also called for a gold price to hit $5,000 next year. That's this guy, David Schlossler, who's a multi-asset solutions fund manager for Van Eck. So I got a question for you. These aren't guys in their basement that are gold and silver maxis in St. Louis talking about $60 silver. No, they work for Van Eck. These are billionaire hedge fund managers talking about $5,000 gold in 2026. So that begs the question. And you can put it in the comments, share with each other, right? This is a community. If we get $5,000 gold in 2026, where do you think the silver price is going to be on April Fool's Day, 2026? You know my guess. Put yours in the comment. Share. Oh, by the way, thank you for being here. Did I ask you? Please, if you're new, subscribe to the channel. All this is free. You just got to put up with my whiny voice and occasional sheeple accents, but no, seriously, it's a big deal you're here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the super chat, super thanks, all the stuff you guys are doing. Always much appreciated. Susie, upstairs, Susie and I, right? This is a community, right? We love talking about assets that are outside the fiat money system. We want you to come back. We want you to feel like you found a home away from home. Other big news going on, the Chinese billionaire, the Chinese Hunt brothers. Remember the Hunt brothers story from the 70s when they cornered the silver market and yada, yada, yada. Well, last year, there's a Chinese Hunt brother who took on JP Morgan and won, right? Stuck it to him in the Chinese gold market. There's rumors that he's back. He or she, but it's a he, is back, right? So it's going to be real interesting to see how that all plays out. Yep, Jerome Powell, and they're going to liquidate the economy. Is the economy slowing? Right? Look, we don't want to dig into the weeds too much, but I found this very interesting in regards to what's going on at the airports. Let's go take a look at this article, which was brought to us by. Oh, and then we'll talk about the big debt downgrade. Hold on one second here, everybody. There we go. Uh-oh. Hold on a minute. Phone's ringing. We're having some technical problems. Hopefully you guys can see me and hear me okay. If you can, please give me a 5x5. Okay. So this was super interesting from the Kiyosaki letter. Arrivals at the largest U.S. airports are declining. The 7-day, so air traffic, 7-day moving average of arrivals at the top 10 airports fell by 5%. Okay, but it gets more interesting below in yellow. Furthermore, the number of European passengers flying to the U.S. dropped by 20% year over year last month. Passengers coming from Mexico and Canada also decreased by 19% and 7% respectively. The economy is slowing down, right? Housing is out of control. Everywhere we look, we've got issues. Then on Friday, we get this news after the bell from the Silver Academy reporting on it, but this was widely reported. As predicted, the USA is a gnat's eyelash away from defaulting. A nation with $37 trillion in funded liabilities and $200 trillion in unfunded obligations can't outrun math. We had a Moody's downgrade, okay, which, look, here's the reality. The United States debt had already been downgraded by S&P and Fitch. Moody's was the final one to downgrade the debt. So this was big news. This is the reality. The hens are coming home to roost. Unfortunately, look, I'm sure you're like me. I love my country, right? I love what the founding fathers set out. But over the last several decades, it has been grossly mismanaged. And as a result, right, made grossly unfair as well, where the 1%, top 1% of the population is controlling an exaggerated amount of the wealth in this country. It's getting to be a very precarious situation. I think there's a lot more fragility in the market than most people realize. Most people don't care. Okay, right? They're the wait a minute, the sheeple. They have no clue. They don't care. They'd rather just watch whatever on TV. But even within the financial community, I think that most like financial advisors, they're clueless as to how fragile the system actually is. I think that you, and I know me, realize like we see the forest through the trees. I used to love when Andy Schechtman would talk about the Jenga example, right? Like you keep pulling pieces out until eventually the whole thing falls apart. Look, I don't want bad things to happen. I want what's good for you, good for me. But I do think that we realize the importance of protecting ourselves, protecting our families, and that gold and silver, real assets, land, for those of you that like crypto are good ways to protect wealth. I do want to say thank you also to our friends at, right? If you've got some gold and silver, what's in here, huh? Yeah, you know what's in here. Dirty Man Safe. We're going to be doing a giveaway here soon. But if you're looking for a way to safely secure something, maybe you got a safe in your house. Maybe you have a safety deposit box. You're probably like me. I don't keep metals at the house, right? But another thing that you can consider is a Dirty Man Safe. This allows you to bury, right? This is the safe. It opens up. You open it up quickly. Mine has a unicorn inside of it. These things are very cool. Allows you to do what the pirates did, right? The pirates buried their treasure in the ground. People are still looking for it. This is the same thing. It comes with this tube, okay? Can you see me? There we go. Yeah, it comes with this tube. You bury the tube. You put this down in the tube. And then it's got this nifty lid that goes on top, okay? It's all buried in the ground. You got a handle. You pull it out. You just don't tell anybody where you buried it. Again, that's Dirty Man Safe. There is a code. Where is it? It's hanging up behind me somewhere. Ron10. You can check it out. 10% discount if you use the code Ron10. Also, thank you to Ledger for sponsoring Ron's Basement. They are the crypto hardware wallet security leader, okay? And MoonPay, they're the fintech leader. Guys, have a great day, okay? It's going to be real interesting here as we move throughout the rest of this year where the metals prices go, right? I was talking about a summer doldrums, right? And let's stick above 3,000 for gold, silver. Let's stick above that $30. To me, the $30 level is critical. I don't think we're going to go below $30 per ounce in silver, right? And I think we could have a really awesome surprise in both the metals markets, even through the summer and even through the end of the year. But no matter what happens, we're going to be okay, right? These are timeless stores of value. This ounce of silver right here, remember, that's that first mint. Check it out. Isn't that just absolutely beautiful? That ounce of silver has been valuable for 5,000 years. That's a big, big deal. Silver is scarce. Silver is not under the control of any central government, right? And silver's value ultimately is determined by people all around the world, everywhere, right? Because it's valuable everywhere. Same thing with gold. It's going to be a great ride. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the basement. Don't forget, thumbs up, right? And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.